Perfect. I think we can start. Dear all, welcome to the Generative AI training promoted by the Innovation Booster Fashion and Lifestyle in alliance with the Lifestyle Tech Competence Center. I'm Andrea Lentini, Head of Innovation Strategy at Lifestyle Tech Competence Center, and together with my colleague Alberto De Giacomo, we are supporting this online training. First of all, this is the agenda of today. I will start only spending a few minutes on today's training and training's contents and rules for this online training. Then I leave the floor to our trainers. We will have two sessions today. During the first one, we will explore fundamentals of generative AI, from its definition to impacts and opportunities. This session will be carried out by Michele Zoppi, Senior Partner Development Manager at Microsoft Switzerland. And thank you, Michele, for being here today with us. Then we will deep dive into how to apply generative AI. And Giacomo Carrozza, Senior Manager at Accenture Song, will give us an overview on success stories and approaches of generative AI in fashion and lifestyle. And also thank you, Giacomo, and our Accenture team for the great support for organizing this training. Now, before starting, I would like to present some rules for this training. First of all, please keep your microphone on mute during the session, and also consider that this session is recorded and will be available for registered attendees after the training. All training material will be shared with you after the session, and each training session ends with a Q&A slot of about 5 minutes. If you have questions, please, you could write them in Microsoft Teams chat, and trainers will answer at the end of each session. Obviously, we have only 5 minutes for this Q&A, but in case we will not have time to answer to all your questions during the session, please don't worry. We will gather all questions, and trainers will provide you with answer offline via email in the following days. What should we expect from today's training? Today we have the opportunity to learn about generative AI and its impact in fashion and lifestyle sectors. We will understand more about GenAI, what is GenAI, what are main trends, and also approaches to successfully implement GenAI in different firms. The level of this training is between foundational and intermediate. In fact, the goal is to make you aware of generative AI concept, providing you also with an overview on business implications and architecture. Now I think we can start. I leave the floor to Michele Zoppi, Senior Partner Developer Manager at Microsoft Switzerland. Michele, are you there?
Yes, I am. So
the floor is yours. The floor is yours.
Okay, let me share my presentation. I guess you can see my presentation. So,
yes.
Good afternoon also from my side. I'm Michele Zoppi, as Andrea said before. I'm a Partner Developer Manager working in Microsoft Switzerland, and I'm based in Ticino. We will talk some, and let me go to the right view, and we will talk for just the next 20 minutes about what generative AI brings to the EA, just going through a bit of EA, a story of EA, to understand where we are, what is the big impact that generative AI had in the last couple of years. That is really a tipping point for the usage and the adoption of EA, that is now moving more and more from the nerds domain, let's call it in that way, to the common usage among all the end users at the end. And we will see a bit of the path forward through the EA. So what do we mean when we talk about EA? And I need to have a look at the clock to avoid to run over time. In general, the definition is quite tasks. So we talk about synthetic intelligence, so something that is made by machine that's made possible for machine to perform tasks that would require human intelligence. So when we have machine that are doing something that normally we think there should a man behind, we talk about artificial intelligence. And where do we stand? And which are the main types of AI at the moment? Now we are still in the realm of weak EA. We have different kind of algorithms that are very, very good and even better than human being to do things, planning, perception, knowledge, machine learning, natural language processing, also in robotics. But normally, so for the vast majority, at least until the last couple of years, every task require a dedicated algorithm. And that's the reason why we are talking about weak EA. The next evolution of EA is called the AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. That is mainly where we can find mainly two big differences versus what is the weak EA. The first is that we will have multi-purpose models. So not a model for a single task, but we will have models that will be able to do multiple tasks. And the second is related not only at learning, because we have already example of algorithms that can learn by their mistakes, but understanding. And this understanding is a key point of the artificial general intelligence. The next evolution of the AI is the artificial superintelligence, where clearly the cognitive abilities will be even bigger than the ones of human beings, but especially we would talk about artificial superintelligence when there will be self-awareness. So the next two steps are related to the understanding and then the self-awareness. And this in the books of artificial intelligence. And this is not new because everything started in the 50s, not talking about what happened in the past with the intelligence automa and so on, but everything started after the Second World War when Alan Turing introduced the Turing test. That was a test aiming to understand if a computer was able to imitate the behavior of a human being. And in 1956, the word artificial intelligence was coined at Dartmouth Institute. But already in the 60s, we had computers that were able to learn by trial and error. In the late 80s, we had chatbots that were imitating the human interaction. And one of the, probably for the people that is a bit elder in the call, for sure everyone remember what was Deep Blue, when Deep Blue was able to beat Garry Kasparov in chess. And also Watson was probably one of the first example of artificial intelligence able to pass the Turing test. Then there was the launch of personal assistants like Siri, like Alexa, and so on. But the real tipping point came in the last couple of years with the advent of OpenAI and DALL-E as image generator and ChatGPT as a chatbot that was able to interact in a conversational way. And continuing on this story, that's important. You can see that in the last less than 10 years, a bunch of algorithm was able to break the parity with human. So in 2016, the object recognition was broken, 2017, the speech recognition, 2019, the machine translation, 2021 and 2021 with image captioning and question answering. So for this aspect of artificial intelligence, the parity with humans was broken in the last 10 years, more or less. What is the big difference that generative AI is introducing? That's our friend Batman. It's a geek that is working on the previously of generative AI, and he was working on was a data scientist working on artificial intelligence. That you can see here, there are different data models, different database behind, and different machine learning models that have to be trained on the different database to work on different entities. So if you want to do sentiment analysis, you need to look at specific set of data with a specific machine learning algorithm to do sentiment analysis, train this algorithm. If you want to track object, you need to do it with a specific data set and a specific model. The big revolution of generative AI is related to the fact that now we have one model that take any data and is able to do different things and to answer to different questions. And this is why this is very disruptive, because there is one model. It's very disruptive, and it's also very, very good in understanding natural language. That's the other component. So we have one model, very, very good in understanding natural language, that is trained on a bunch set of data, different data, not specific data for a specific task, that with the foundation model and with the ability to adapt is able to perform multiple tasks, like question and answering, sentiment analysis, information extraction, object recognition, captioning, and following instruction. And that's the reason behind the huge success of ChatGPT in the last couple of years. This is ChatGPT. It's the fastest technology in the era of mobility and internet that was able to reach 100 million users, because ChatGPT took 3 months to reach 100 million users. If you compare to mobile phone, it took 16 years, internet 7 years, and Facebook's, for example, 4.5 years. Probably the second one is Instagram, that anyway took more than 1 year. What GenAI could help us? Could help us in a bunch of different things, like creating text, refining text, shortening text, make resume, extracting information from text, creative task like brainstorming. You can question and answer to ChatGPT. You can generate imaging just starting from text. Developers have a huge benefit when we look at code generation, because there are studies that shows that the time of developing an application and the productivity of the developer are increasing by more than 60%. Finding things, it's the basic, made I will say effortless, with the ability to ask a question in natural language, and then could help in planning and prioritizing, and we will see example of planning and prioritizing. So this is a general capabilities that GenAI has. and could help people, but also could help companies, because if we look at which are the biggest issues that now companies are experiencing, especially now that the workforce is shrinking, because in our world, people is aging, it's difficult to find qualified people. For sure, we have a problem with productivity. For sure, we have problem with process automation, because we need with the shrinking of the workforce and with the complexity of the task, we need better process automation. We have issues with customer experience, because a lot of interaction, post-sales interaction are poor, and the time that we invest to create content is very, very big. Especially for example, I have the whiteboard syndrome. I hate to start from scratch to produce something. And one of the benefits that I get from Generative AI, Copilot, and this kind of tools is really helping me, starting from a sentence, generic sentence, to sketch some content that could be very, very useful. Because if you look at productivity, we have conversational search, talk with my data, chat with my data is one of the biggest benefit, or also having real knowledge inside. So the ability of these models to look at your data and look at trends of your data, given any set of your data, without a huge preprocessing. So as you can see, if we look at the customer experience, the ability of generative AI to connect the dots between different interaction of a customer are for sure a big help for improve the customer experience and increase the productivity. But let's go a bit more showcasing a couple of examples of what is possible. And we start from claim process augmentation. And exactly, we start from a car insurance that simply starting from updating a picture on his public website could help the customer to claim an incident, because simply updating the picture, it recognizes the plate of the car, recognize the kind of accident, verify if the policy of the customer associated with this plane covers this kind of damages. So in this case, you're looking if the policy covers parking damages, and then helps you to submit the claim and to start the process. What I want to stress in this case, like other bunch of other cases, is the fact that in this case, in this example, you give the consent to help artificial intelligence to help you to submit the claim, and then you have the ability to modify all the data. This is really a relevant part of what is called the concept of responsible EA that we will cover shortly. Another fantastic example, and I hope to have been shared also the sound. Give me an
Iniesta weaves through the defenders, slips it to Villa, shot taken, and it's a goal. Barcelona's attackers makes a quick pass to Pedro. He shoots, it's a goal. Absolute magic.
So, in this case, there are no human being behind this comment. So was ChatGPT 4V that was analyzing the video, and through the analysis of the video and with a synthetic voice through neural voices of Group Media Pro, was able to produce the comments of the soccer match. This is made after, so it's not at the moment. This is not happening live, but you can understand the power of what we are doing with this technology. Another fantastic example is with OpenAI Sora, and this is a text-to-video example. So spend 1 second to read. We want a movie trailer featuring the adventure of an old 30-year-old spaceman wearing a red wool-knitted motorcycle helmet, blue sky, salt desert, cinematic style, shot on 35mm film with vivid colors. So this is the prompt, and we will go to the art of the prompting shortly. And then this is the result. So what you can see here, there is no audio behind, it's just video, but this is absolutely entirely produced by EA. I want to stress, before getting to the concept of responsible AI, I want to stress one thing that is extremely important when we talk about generative AI. And the thing that is really important is the art of prompting. So the ability to ask the right question to the chatbot, because without the right question, the answer that we could receive back could be very, very generic and not satisfactory. So we need to shape the way we interact with the system. We need to provide the context. We need to clearly state what we want. We need to state from where we want the data, because if we think, for example, at what Copilot is doing, Microsoft Copilot is looking at data internally at the company and data outside of the company. And so if you want to have a relevant answer, you need to ask the correct question. But coming to the end of my speech before the Q&A, we say, like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And Microsoft, since 2017, formed a responsible AI committee because it was convinced from our GM, Satya Nadella, that started the discussion with a public article, that there was a need of defining some responsible principle behind EA. And Microsoft has 6 responsible AI principle. Privacy and security, that is the basis of everything that it's that works with customer data. So the data should be secure and accessible only by authorized person, and the consumer should have the control of their data. The second principle is related to inclusiveness. AI system should not behave unfavorably for certain groups and minorities. And this is a huge issue. The first example ever was the face recognition algorithm that was made since the beginning, that was trained with white Caucasian male as a majority of the data set, that was struggling with recognizing female, recognizing Asiatics, recognizing someone that was not white, Caucasian, and male. So that's a big problem. So inclusiveness should be granted always. Accountability. And this brings us to the concept of copilot, not autopilot. So the AI should not have the absolute authority and the control, but there is a need to have always behind a human that controls the information, transparency. So every user should be able to understand how decisions were made, fairness, that is related to inclusiveness. We need to avoid bias, and the example of bias are, for example, related to algorithm that helps to define if a specific person could have a loan or not. And so avoid bias and treat all individuals equitably. There were examples of AI used to help HR that was cutting off a bunch of people depending of their curricula, but not with the right fairness criteria. And then it should be reliable and safe. Especially, there are also human-threatening AI application or AI application that could really have an impact. If you think it's AI application that could help doctors to diagnose a disease, it's really important that there are reliability and safety standards behind. There is a whole system of mitigation of risks. First of all, data privacy. One of the examples is related to the observance of GDPR or other even stronger standards. The concept of AI grounding, that is to put the answer in the right context, and obviously content safety. But this is like for IT security, this is an ongoing topic because with the changes, also everything that you made now, it's possible to be bypassed, and so it needs constant evolution. What we say is that on our cloud, on Microsoft Cloud, for sure, if you look at the OpenAI implementation on Azure and everything that is behind, so also Copilot, all the Copilots that we have, your data is your data. So we don't access your data. Your data is never used for fine-tuning of any foundation model. This is not used because it's your data, so it's not used for that. And obviously, your data is protected by the most comprehensive enterprise compliance and security control, like all the data that are in Microsoft Cloud. Then, to go to the conclusion, what's next? So at the moment, we are really at a tipping point. You see the acceleration of the curve is really steep. It's really steep. Now we are in the era of GPT-4, GPT-4 Turbo, and so in 2023, 2024, and Ashish Bhatia, that is one of Microsoft gurus of artificial intelligence, it's thinking that the artificial general intelligence is something like around the corner. So he's predicting that we will have some sort of artificial general intelligence in less than 5 years. When we talk at the models of the large language models and the foundation models, if you remember what we were talking, we had for sure one of the two things that are based off the artificial general intelligence. So we have a multi-purpose algorithm or model that it's not limited to one single output and one single data. What is missing is the ability to understand, and it is really important. ChatGPT, any OpenAI is not understanding. So if you ask a prompt, if you ask a question, they give an answer, but they are not understanding what are we talking about. And at the same time, according to Ashish Bhatia, we are a bit far from the artificial superintelligence. So there will be something like 10 years more to come to the artificial superintelligence. Last but not least, I was talking about Copilot. Copilot is the Microsoft suite for individual productivity that brings artificial intelligence to all the users, and together with Switzerland Innovation Park and Moresi.com, there will be a session on Copilot, training session on Copilot in person on July 9th. So I stop here. I see if there are questions on if there are some questions.
Yes, thank you, Michele. We have a few minutes for Q&A now. If you have any questions, please, you could write it down in the Teams chat. And due to timing, I think Michele will try to manage one question right now, live. And as anticipated, we will answer the remaining questions offline via email. So let's challenge Michele with some questions.
So what are the security issues for which my company is preventing to use Copilot? And how do you manage data in Switzerland? So Federico, could you elaborate a bit your question, because I'm not sure to understand completely the question. In the meantime, I can show you one high-level slide of how the data are managed with Copilot. So you know that Microsoft has a data center in Switzerland, and the data center in Switzerland is part of what is called Microsoft 365 use service boundary. So all the data are remaining inside the European Union boundaries, and also all the troubleshooting on the data, the 99.5% of the troubleshooting of data is happening on the EU borders. So if your data with M365 Copilot, your tenant is in Switzerland, everything will be pre-processed and grounded in Switzerland. So what will happen is that your data will be pre-processed in this red area. The model will be anyway queried in the Microsoft 365 service boundary, and the answer back will be grounded in the Swiss data center. So your data is 95%, 99% in the Microsoft 365 Swiss tenant, and only the request to the model, to the public model, will happen to the model that is in the data boundary, in the European data boundary.
Thank you, Michele. I think that for timing constraints, we should move to the second session. But for Federico and Davide, we will collect the questions and we provide answer offline. Don't worry. So thank you very much, Michele, for a great session. Now, I think I can leave the floor to Giacomo. Giacomo, are you there?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Very good.
The floor is yours, Giacomo.
Over. Thanks a lot, Andrea. And good afternoon, everyone. I think you should be able to see my screen as well.
Yes.
See if I can also go in presenting, that would help. Very nice.
Perfect.
So, thanks a lot for participating also for this second block of this hour together. So, we will basically go through two major moments in these 20 minutes that are left for this session. First of all, a little bit of building up on what's been presented until now from our friends from Microsoft. So what are the possibilities and the things that can be done on GenAI? And then we will close with a session on, okay, what do you need to start doing some GenAI activities in terms of people capabilities, but also in terms of best practices, let's say. So we started trying to organize a little bit what can be the benefits of bringing GenAI within an organization. And then we identified the three pilots, three proof of concepts that have been developed on the market. Some are Accenture cases, some are cases that are coming from the market outside our recent activities. But anyway, we thought that could be very, very relevant to our discussion today. So the first one is a little bit about an enhanced experience. And if you like, is a way to see what we just saw through the previous use cases from Microsoft, just from a different point of view. So what kind of experiences can you nowadays enable with GenAI? And I especially like this case because it's quite of a breakthrough in the terms of start thinking about GenAI, not just to a tool that can help replace human-based activities and human-based interactions, but literally to create new kind of experiences that can only be enabled by leveraging such a technology. And there will be a Zalando case behind that, and I hope you will appreciate the idea. The second one is personalization. So something that has been really pushing through in the past years, I would say, we're talking about personalization in terms of personalized experiences, personalized commerce, personalized communication, and so on and so forth, at least for 8 years now in the industry. But what's really interesting now is that until so far, it was possible to personalize that to a certain extent. Because in the end, although we were probably capable to target and to create these different customer personas, different customer groups, the effort needed to create content to feed the personalized experience at scale was enormous, and for most of the companies was not really manageable. But thanks to GenAI, we will see how this can be tackled and how these kind of experiences, personalized experiences, can be enabled. Last but not least, a use case from Defender, which is about efficiency. One of the major benefits of GenAI and the way it's been thought and it's been brought to the market through multiple technology vendors, Microsoft, one of the leading, is to help humans to streamline their works, to get rid of the slow and repetitive tasks so that they can spend their time in a more efficient way. So these kind of experiences, you can think about them, for example, on customer service, where at the moment we have been using traditional chatbots, so tree-based, interaction-based chatbot applications. But now GenAI can really take over most of the work that the customer service responsible maybe needs to deliver, operationally speaking, so that this person can now focus maybe on something else, maybe in creating new experiences, in creating better guidelines, in creating a better working environment and a better service for the client, and so on and so forth. And we will bring the Defender case, which is more around the content management and content production and generation, as a leading example. But let's look at a bit of the numbers first of all. 85% of customer interaction will be based on GenAI and chatbots by 2030. That's a forecast. So just for you to know, we've been investing quite a lot in GenAI and market research and forecast and interviews with leaders and CEOs from our clients. And there will be some numbers scattered around our presentation. In the end, might not be 85%, might be 80, might be 90, might be 70. But what's completely out of discussion is that most of those interaction will be GenAI based. And when I mean based, it means that part of the interaction, which could be the content, which could be the process, they could be the people or the platform, will be leveraging GenAI to a certain extent to create this kind of experience that we are packaging, we as a company, for our customers and clients. 30% is instead the expected growth in terms of conversion rate. And when I mean conversion rate, it's not just a conversion rate thinking about an e-commerce, but it's conversion rate throughout the whole chain. So it's a conversion rate through your procurement when they do selection of your provider and raw materials provider, for example, is conversion rate in experiences for sure when you talk about commerce, but it's a conversion rate of digital marketing and so on and so forth, which is a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged because it's great because it means that there is a huge potential in taking GenAI, but it's also a big threat because it means that for everybody that is not going to harness the power of GenAI, we lose not just a small percentage, but the vast majority of the conversions, losing the game against this increasing wave, this growth wave that we saw before with those growth patterns from the different technologies that technologies such as ChatGPT are bringing into the market. Let's take some concrete examples. So we were mentioning a little bit about Amazon as Zalando as a potentially interesting case for the kind of relationship and the kind of experience that this is enabling. And if you think about that 30% increase of conversion rate, and if you think about the idea of saying customer experiences will be based on GenAI, I think you can foresee those numbers within this brief demo. And I hope that the audio plays as well, by the way. I'll tell you why I love this reference, why I love this use case. I love it because in the startup world, in the startup environment, digital environment, there is always a saying that says, the only thing your client is completely aware is the need, but they have no idea of the solution. What we've been building so far by crafting experiences for our clients are, let's take e-commerce solutions. And we put together a bunch of designers, bunch of experts. We took in market researchers and whatever, and we try to create a best-in-class user experience to provide the best service possible. But in the end, what's happening is that everybody would like to have different filters. Everybody would like to have a different product page, a different product list page, a different checkout experience. Cross and upsell might be completely different for each one of us. This kind of conversational experience you can create with this kind of technology collapses the interaction and brings the need of the client, in this case, she needs shoes matching a previous purchase that she did on the platform, with your solution, which means your product. Everything in between is is moved on and passed down to GenAI in order to orchestrate this kind of interaction. And you can really see where this 30% is coming, because that selection of shoes is not just based on your own company data, with your CRM, with your stock availability, with your merchandising plan and your plan for the future products you want to push, margin you want to increase, but it's also based on the specific preferences of the single user. And these kind of technologies can enable these kind of matches that otherwise will not be possible. And that's the idea of hyper-personalization. From a segmented approach, where best you could do was to create customer groups, or maybe Adobe Marketing or any kind of other marketing tool, and push marketing to those specifically crafted marketing campaigns to them. Or you can create different look and feel on product selection, on price selection for your customer groups. Now you can have a literally hyper-personalized dynamic experience to enable to your clients. I'll try to fly over it a bit because time is tyrant, unfortunately, but also to show you that new business cases and new companies and new realities can also be sparkled and created based on those technologies. And GenAI, in the end, let's never forget, relies on AI. So GenAI is a layer built on top of artificial intelligence. And an example here is from Stitch Fix, which is a startup AI-based, and they do a pretty simple stuff. They take a full AI machine learning based application. They give it to you in your hand, feeding you fashion suggestions, so clothes you can wear. And basically, it's a Tinder for fashion. You swipe left, swipe right. They try to understand a little bit what's your liking, what's the things you like the most, and then they directly ship it to you at your door. So you are not even going through the purchase process. You're going for a subscription process that is managed by AI in order to ensure that the package of goods that is sent over to your door is containing the statistically most likely assortment that you might want to keep and not giving back. This is more an AI approach, but it gives you an idea on how both those kind of ecosystems can really work together. Because if you take this one and you build on top GenAI, you can really increase the efficiency of your overall life cycle and the overall customer journey cycle you can enable for your clients. The efficiency gain in these kind of cases is crazy. So what we foresee is that the GenAI can help even doubling the performances when we look at these kind of activities in terms of savings. Efficiency overall can be improved up to 75%, especially for areas such as content production. And when I mean content, and again, we had a very good reference from Microsoft earlier before, creating a video usually will take you crazy amount of money. You need to move people, you need to loan assets, you need time to bring it on. Worst case scenario now, in one day, you might be capable with the proper skill behind, and I will root back into this topic in few slides. You might be literally able to have it in half of a day. So you can really see where these savings are in the end coming from. Last demo, and then we move to the second part of the session. This is a project we actually developed for Defender. Hope you will like it. What I think is fascinating about this demo instead is that the level of content, quality of content, and concept of content that can be created, it's not even possible to be matched by sheer investment on human interaction. What you've seen here is not just a change of a context, for which, of course, you might want to invest any kind of funds in order to create the most extreme experience in terms of visualization, of product visualization. But this kind of flexibility, both in terms of context, but also in terms of product picture, product detail, product description can be generated, is unrivaled and unmatched on the market. And this kind of experience is leveraging GenAI for content production, which is a given. I think ever since DALL-E or all the other applications for content, picture and video generation have been around, the easiest use case was, you know what? You might use it to create your product shots. And it's true. But this kind of experience is completely different, completely new, but still leveraging the same kind of concept and is engaging the client in a completely different level. And by the way, it's a very interesting moment in history because we are in an intersection where this kind of technology is really booming. And what's happening is that by enabling these kind of experiences in the market now, you're not just enabling the experience for yourself, but basically all of those companies that are seriously investing in GenAI are using all of those use cases and investments and results they're getting for marketing purposes. So Adidas and Gucci for example, that have been investing in this space, of course, they are doing the demo, but in most cases, the rumor also created by the investment and the work they are doing is bringing a lot of visibility within the market to themselves as well. And so we have seen Gucci creating new NFTs collection. I know, and NFT is still a topic, although in a smaller context, but it seems still to be relevant within the metaverse discussion. But for example, again, Gucci used GenAI to create NFT, so to create digital art. Amazon is using it for reviews generation. H&M for custom clothing creation in order to get new ideas on the new collections that needs to come. ASOS, along with the AI, is using it for demand forecasting. Vogue is using it for thinking about extreme fashion cases, futuristic options and futuristic ideas of fashion. And Tommy Hilfiger also to enhance the 3D looks and the rendering of the 3D rendering of their products. Really going quick to save some time on this part. So all cool and nice, but okay, what do you need to start playing around with GenAI? First of all, we recognize that most of the people love GenAI, but very few are really in the condition of start working on GenAI, 76% and 27%. First of all, you need the process. Nothing crazy. We are keeping it, as Andrea was saying at the beginning, this is a little bit an introductory course, so we didn't want to come with the full-blown approach, but very simply put, of course, for any case, given the very specificity of the technology and the specificity of the context, a use case, a business case is needed as a starting point. Hypotheses and theories you want to prove, and the vision you want to achieve. Second of all, the definition of the capabilities needed, from business to technical, from GenAI to more traditional technology and operations. Understanding how AI can be melted into this mix and what kind of skills you will need to onboard within your company or within your organization in order to make this pilot happen, this project happen, this vision happen. And in the end, you need to keep monitoring GenAI, because in the end, GenAI is going to be, as every other tech, it's not something you can just deploy and leave, but you need to bring in some maintenance. And especially on GenAI, maintenance clicks a couple of different topics rather than the more traditional ones, and I'll feed back into that in a few seconds. We as Accenture, together also with Microsoft, are trying to play around a little bit with GenAI now for, I think, for a little bit more than 1 year. And we are creating frameworks, we are creating references for our clients and partners to base upon their strategic approach on GenAI, to really be sure that whatever is done today, whatever investment is done today is not lost in the future. And so this is just an high-level overview. I won't go into details here. You will have the material, but the idea to start adding and managing GenAI as a centralized capability rather than as a standalone application is becoming more and more a reality across all the conversation we are having with our clients. Visions where data sources can be fed into artificial intelligence engines can create output digested from GenAI application that can generate content reviewed by humans and then fed into our partners' channels. Very last slide, what do you need to start in terms of GenAI? Everything in the end turns down to people, to heads and skills. And those are a little bit a panorama, that's a little bit a panorama of the skills you need, the people you need. I won't go through them all, I will only focus on the new ones. And I would start from the one left in the bottom, which is ethics and compliance. Again, as our colleagues were mentioning from Microsoft, ethics is a fundamental and control is a fundamental topic to be managed in this space. Ethics in terms of legal compliancy, in terms of security compliancy, in terms of ethical vision of all the work that is done to be sure that is as much intersectional as an approach as possible across all of the stakeholders involved. There are also new roles upcoming, such as GenAI architects. As you can imagine, those are completely new technologies and need completely new architectures and knowledge and experts from this point of view. And those are skills extremely rare on the market at the moment. Last but not least, again, echoing concept shared before during this session, prompt engineers. Going on ChatGPT, going on DALL-E or any other similar application and trying to generate content, it can be like a kindergarten. You can go there, you can play around. I personally made also some kind of funny picture and I keep on my desktop just as a meme. But in the end, it's going to be a serious work. And you will need to have really expert people going there and crafting prompts that need to be injected in GenAI applications in order to create, for example, the future video advertising for your company, where let's say you would need a more professional approach rather than just someone sitting there and try to play around with a completely new technologies and application. 4 minutes at the end, just to wrap up and close, and I will hand over for QA and questions. As Accenture, we work together with Microsoft and our friends from the Innovation Hub, and we will be more than happy to support in scouting POC, proof of concept opportunities based on GenAI together, since we have a very long-lasting partnership overall, specific in the GenAI space, and also on Lugano, which is a tremendous opportunity given the proximity of the space where everybody is staying. Andrea, back to you.
Thank you very much, Giacomo. Thank you very much for your session. Now I think due to time, I think we can choose at least one question in the chat, Giacomo. We received, I think, 4 to 5 questions now. You can choose at least one, and then we will answer the remaining question offline via email, as anticipated.
So, I can take the Defender one. So about the Defender experience, how do you create the contents shown on the screen? What's the source of the different images? Okay, so the major content that is absorbed is the previous content that is produced by Defender. So honestly, you don't even need new shots. You can just use the content, your library, if you have your content of the DAM, your DAM. So even the content of previous shots and previous advertising campaigns you have done can be used to train the model. And I would say that there are basically potentially up to 3 major areas of training. One is the client specific, the company specific, the product specific. So we take out the product pictures out of your repositories. Then there is the wider training that is currently not managed by us, but most often for the technology, which is the contextual training. So what does a car mean? What does it mean to put a car in a harsh condition or on top of a mountain? This is more training that is generally available, for example, on DALL-E, just to bring a case. And then there would be potentially more a contextual training, more specific to the industry, so more to the automotive training to even further reshape the context. What's important here is that this kind of application is not just a standalone that can be left there, but needs to be continuously reviewed and refined in order for the experience to improve over time. This would open also a number of discussions around the testing, go live, and timing of the application, but most of the content is literally the content you already probably have in your hard drive or in your cloud, preferably, that we can literally take and train a new model upon.
Thank you very much, Giacomo. I think that we are closing this training. First of all, I thank Michele from Microsoft and Giacomo for Accenture for their insightful sessions. According to next steps, after this call, we will share with you both training material and answers to questions we did not manage to answer during the training. And in the meantime, these are our contacts. If you have any question, you can reach out us directly. And in case you are also interested in learning more about the new open innovation program that is called Innovation Booster Fashion and Lifestyle, we also leave you the contact of Daniele Panato, who is leading this initiative. And last but not the least, in the coming days, you will receive a short feedback survey. And I invite you to fill out the questionnaire because your feedback is really important for us to continue improving our training processes. So thank you very much for participating today and see you at our next occasion. Thank you very much.